The demographics of India are inclusive of the second most populous country in the world, with over 1.21 billion people, more than a sixth of the world's population. Already containing 17.5% of the world's population, India is projected to be the world's most populous country by 2025, surpassing China, its population reaching 1.6 billion by 2050. Its population growth rate is 1.41%, ranking 102nd in the world in 2010. Indian population reached the billion mark in 2000. India has more than 50% of its population below the age of 25 and more than 65% below the age of 35. It is expected that, in 2020, the average age of an Indian will be 29 years, compared to 37 for China and 48 for Japan. And, by 2030, India's dependency ratio should be just over 0.4. India has more than 2,000 ethnic groups, and every major religion is represented, as are 4 major families of languages as well as 2 language isolates. Further complexity is lent by the great variation that occurs across this population on social parameters such as income and education. Only the continent of Africa exceeds the linguistic, genetic and cultural diversity of the nation of India. Salient features: India occupies 2.8% of the world's land area and supports over 17.5% of the world's population. At the 2001 census, 72.2% of the population lived in about 638,000 villages and the remaining 27.8% lived in more than 5,100 towns and over 380 urban agglomerations. India's population has exceeded that of the entire continent of Africa by 200 million people. However, since Africa's population growth is nearly double that of India, it is expected to surpass both China and India by 2025. Comparative Demographics, List of states and union territories by demographics. States in India. Religious demographics. The table below summarizes India's demographics according to religion at the 2001 census and percent. The data is unadjusted. The 1981 census was not conducted in Assam and the 1991 census was not conducted in Jammu and Kashmir. 1 including Baha'is, Jews, and Parsis. Tribal animists are included after 1926, neonatal and infant demographics. The table below represents the infant mortality rate trends in India, by gender, in the last 15 years. In the urban areas of India, average male infant mortality rates are slightly higher than the female infant mortality rates. Some activists believe India's 2011 census shows a serious decline in the number of girls under the age of 7. Activists fear 8 million female fetuses may have been aborted between 2001 and 2011. These claims are controversial. Scientists who study human sex ratios and demographic trends suggest that birth-sex ratio between 1.08 to 1.12 can be because of natural factors, such as the age of mother at baby's birth, age of father at baby's birth, number of babies per couple, economic stress, endocrinological factors, etc. The 2011 census birth-sex ratio in India, of 917 girls to 1,000 boys, is similar to 870 to 930 girls to 1,000 boys birth-sex ratios observed in Japanese, Chinese, Cuban, Filipino and Hawaiian ethnic groups in the United States between 1940 to 2005. They are also similar to birth-sex ratios below 900 girls to 1,000 boys observed in mothers of different age groups and gestation periods in the United States. Population within the age group of 0–6. Population above the age of 7. Literacy rate in India. Linguistic demographics. 41.03% of the Indians speak Hindi while the rest speak Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi, Punjabi, Tamil, Telugu and a variety of other languages. The table immediately below excludes Malmaram, Palmata and Parole subdivisions of Senapati district of Manipur state due to cancellation of census results. Largest cities. Vital statistics, UN estimates, sample registration system. 1. The numbers of births and deaths were calculated from the birth and death rates in the average population. Regional vital statistics. The below table gives the vital statistics for the year 2010, according to the Registrar Gen, India. CIA World Factbook Demographic Statistics. The following demographic statistics are from the CIA World Factbook, unless otherwise indicated. Total population, 1,166,079,217 1,028.7 million. Rural population, 72.2%, male, 381,668,992, female, 360,948,755, age structure, 0–14 years, 30.8%, male, 188,208,196, female, 171,356, 02415 64 years, 64.3%, male. 386,432,921, female, 364,215, 75,965 plus years, 4.9%, male, 27,258,259, female, 30,031,289, median age, 25.1 years, population growth rate, 1.548%, literacy rate, 74%, 81.4%, of the population under the poverty line, 22%, unemployment rate, 7.8%, net migration rate, a 0.05 migrant, s/1000 population, sex ratio, at birth, 1.12 male, s/female under 10 years, 1.14 male, s/female 15–24 years, 1.09 male, s/female 24–64 years, 1.06 male, s/female 65 years and over, 0.908 male, s/female. Total population, 1.08 male, s/female. Life expectancy at birth, total population, 65.8 years, total fertility rate, 2.72 children born woman, although more up-to-date statistics indicate that India's TFR was 2.6 in 2008. The TFR according to religion in 2001 was Hindus Euro 2.0, Muslims Euro 3.4, Sikhs Euro 2.1, Christians Euro 2.1, Buddhists Euro 2.1, Jains Euro 1.4, animists and others Euro 2.99, tribals Euro 3.16, scheduled castes Euro 2.89, religions, Hindu 80.5%, Muslim 13.4%, Christian 2.3%, Sikh 1.8%, Buddhists 0.8%, Jain 0.4%, others 0.7%, unspecified 0.1%, scheduled castes and tribes, scheduled castes, 16.2%, scheduled tribes, 8.2%, languages, see Languages of India and List of Indian languages by total speakers. There are 216 languages with more than 10,000 native speakers in India. The largest of these is Hindi with some 337 million, the second largest being Bengali. 22 languages are recognized as official languages. In India, there are 1,652 languages and dialects in total. Population projections. India is projected to overtake China as the world's most populous nation by 2030. India's population growth has raised concerns that it would lead to widespread unemployment and political instability. Note that these projections make assumptions about future fertility and death rates which may not turn out to be correct in the event. Source: 2021 1,326,093,000, 2030, 1,460,743,000, 2040, 1,571,715,000, 2050, 1,656,554,000, 2020 estimate, in millions. Source: ethnic groups. The National Census of India does not recognize racial or ethnic groups within India, but recognizes many of the tribal groups as scheduled castes and tribes. Nevertheless, Some anthropologists classify Indians as belonging to one of four major ethno-racial groups, which significantly overlap because of racial admixture between populations: Caucasoids, Australoids, Mongoloids and Negritos. The Caucasoids are found in the north, central and southwestern regions of India and generally speak Indo-Aryan languages. Australoids are found in the south and generally speak Dravidian languages. Mongoloids are largely confined to the northeastern region of the country and for the most part, speak Tibeto-Burman languages. And Negritos are found on the Andaman Islands located on the southeastern side of the country. These speak a language known simply as Great Andamanese, a linguistic isolate not related to any known language. And finally, Austroasiatic languages are spoken by only tribals or Adivasis, who can be of either Australoid or Mongoloid racial stock. According to a 2009 study published by Reich al., the modern Indian population is composed of two genetically divergent and heterogeneous populations which mixed in ancient times, known as ancestral North Indians and ancestral South Indians. ASI corresponds to the Dravidian-speaking population of southern India, whereas ANI corresponds to the Indo-Aryan-speaking population of northern India. For a list of ethnic groups in the Republic of India, see ethnic groups of the Indian subcontinent or the tree diagram above. Genetics. Y chromosome DNA. Y chromosome DNA. Y DNA represents the male lineage. The Indian Y chromosome pool may be summarized as follows, where haplogroups are M420, H, R2, L and NOP comprise generally more than 80% of the total chromosomes. H to 30%, R1 to 20%, R2 to 15%, L to 10%, NOP 10%, other haplogroups 15%, mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA mtDNA represents the female lineage. The Indian mitochondrial DNA is primarily made up of haplogroup M to 60%, haplogroup UK 15%, haplogroup N to 25%. Autosomal DNA. Numerous genomic studies have been conducted in the last 15 years to seek insights into India's demographic and cultural diversity. These studies paint a complex and conflicting picture. In a 2003 study, Basu, Majumdar et al. Have concluded on the basis of results obtained from mtDNA, Y chromosome and autosomal markers that, 1, there is an underlying unity of female lineages in India, indicating that the initial number of female settlers may have been small. The tribal and the caste populations are highly differentiated. The Austroasiatic tribals are the earliest settlers in India, providing support to one anthropological hypothesis while refuting some others. A major wave of humans entered India through the northeast. The Tibeto-Burman tribals share considerable genetic commonalities with the Austroasiatic tribals, supporting the hypothesis that they may have shared a common habitat in southern China, but the two groups of tribals can be differentiated on the basis of Y chromosomal haplotypes. The Dravidian-speaking populations were possibly widespread throughout India but are regulated to South India now. Formation of populations by fission that resulted in founder and drift effects have left their imprints on the genetic structures of contemporary populations. The upper castes show closer genetic affinities with Central Asian populations, although those of southern India are more distant than those of northern India. Historical gene flow into India has contributed to a considerable obliteration of genetic histories of contemporary populations so that there is at present no clear congruence of genetic and geographical or sociocultural affinities. In a later 2010 review article, Majumdar affirms some of these conclusions, introduces and revises some other. The ongoing studies, concludes Majumdar, suggest India has served as the major early corridor for geographical dispersal of modern humans from out of Africa. The archaeological and genetic traces of the earliest settlers in India has not provided any conclusive evidence. The tribal populations of India are older than the non-tribal populations. The autosomal differentiation and genetic diversity within India's caste populations at 0.04 is significantly lower than 0.14 for continental populations and 0.09 for 31 world population sets studied by Watkins et al., suggesting that while tribal populations were differentiated, the differentiation effects within India's caste population was less than previously thought. Majumdar also concludes that recent studies suggest India has been a major contributor to the gene pool of Southeast Asia. Another study covering a large sample of Indian populations allowed Watkins et al. To examine 8 Indian caste groups and 4 endogamous South Indian tribal populations. The Indian castes data show low between-group differences, while the tribal Indian groups show relatively high between-group differentiation. This suggests that people between Indian castes were not reproductively isolated, while Indian tribal populations experienced reproductive isolation and drift. Furthermore, the Genetic Fixation Index data shows historical genetic differentiation and segregation between Indian castes population is much smaller than those found in East Asia, Africa and other continental populations. While being similar to the genetic differentiation and segregation observed in European populations. In 2006, Sahu et al. Reported their analysis of genomic data on 936 Y chromosomes representing 32 tribal and 45 caste groups from different regions of India. These scientists find that the haplogroup frequency distribution across the country, between different caste groups, was found to be predominantly driven by geographical, rather than cultural determinants. They conclude there is clear evidence for both large-scale immigration into ancient India of Tibeto-Burman speakers and language change of former Austroasiatic speakers, in the northeast Indian region. The genome studies through 2010 have been on relatively small population sets. Many are from just one southeastern state of Andhra Pradesh. Any conclusions on demographic history of India must therefore be interpreted with caution. A larger national genome study with demographic growth and sex ratio balances may offer further insights on the extent of genetic differentiation and segregation in India over the millenniums. See also, Culture of India, Non-resident Indian and Person of Indian Origin, Demography of Central Asia, Female Foeticide in India, Government, 2011 Census of India, National Commission on Population, Lists, List of most populous cities in India, List of most populous metropolitan areas in India, List of million-plus urban agglomerations in India, List of states and union territories of India by population, Notes. References. External links, Census of India. Government site with detailed data from 2001 Census, Census of India Map Generator. Generates maps based on 2001 census figures, demographic data for India. Provides sources of demographic data for India, 2001 maps. Provides maps of social, economic and demographic data of India in 2001, Population of India 2011 map. Distribution of population amongst states and union territories, India's demographic outlook, implications and trends, United Nations World Population Prospects Country Profile, India, aggregated demographic statistics from Indian and global data sources.